Everyone meet Preston Hemphill. Preston Hemphill is the white guy we see tasing Tyre Nichols and telling the other officers that he hopes they stomp his ass. Preston tased a black man who they pulled over without probable cause. And the chief even admits it. They still haven't found probable cause for the pullover. Hi, Preston. You're famous now.
So family, we have an update to the Tyre Nichols case. A 6th officer, who is Detective Preston Hemphill, has been relieved of duty for his involvement in the confrontation with Tyre Nichols. He's the white officer who was seen off camera tasering Tyre Nichols and also on camera doing it. And so the other 5 officers have been criminally charged, and this officer also deserves to be criminally charged because there is no reason to ever stop Tyre Nichols. And this officer is a white man. That's why I think he's avoiding accountability, because people say, oh, these are 5 black officers who did this. Yes, but they work for the system of white supremacy. And this officer not even being charged or being mentioned initially shows you the white supremacy.
All right, guys. So once again, I got to revisit this Tyre Nichols story. And the reason why is because the developments in this story and the reaction from the mainstream liberal media and the general public, especially when it comes to this issue of race, is truly fascinating. Okay, it really is. It is a spectacle to behold as you're seeing how the left, the mainstream liberal media, is trying desperately to make this some type of racial situation, including members of the family and their attorney, Benjamin Crump, who basically claimed that, hey, it's, you know, basically still racism because this doesn't happen to white people, okay, in terms of white people getting beat by police, which is not true, right? White people do get beat up by the police. It happens. And then they also say, well, they fired these black officers and they charged them swiftly. They should do this for white police officers as well, too.
Hopefully, this institutional police culture that says it's okay to engage in excessive force against black and brown people will finally be dealt with. We won't continue to try to say that, oh, it's training. They can de-escalate just fine when it's white citizens. We see that all the time. But it's when it's black and brown citizens, no matter if the police are black, Hispanic, or white, they seem to do the most down limit. And so this is the blueprint from now. You know, Memphis Police Department terminated them immediately. The DA brought charges within 20 days. Now, when it's not black officers, we want to see the same type of justice.
And then you have people in the mainstream liberal media like Whoopi Goldberg who suggest that, hey, in order for there to be change, okay, police reform, maybe, just maybe, a white person needs to get beat like this for people to care.
But, you know, when will the brutality finally lead to some police reform from the ground up? Because clearly, it doesn't matter if it's a white policeman or a black policeman. It is a problem in the police, in the policing itself. You know, seems things don't seem to make sense to people unless it's somebody they can feel or they can recognize. But how many times do we need to see white people also get beaten before anybody will do anything? I'm not suggesting that. So don't write us and tell me what a racist I am.
Except when white people get beat by the police brutally, nobody actually cares because they're white, right? And you can't race grift off of that, okay? They can't cross systemic racism when it's white on white. Like, for example, what happened with Randall Worcester out in Arkansas, where you had 3 white police officers brutally beat him. Eventually, the officers were arrested after being suspended. And did you hear about it in the mainstream liberal media? Did anybody care about it? No, nobody cared. Okay, now, obviously, in that situation, the victim didn't die, but it happens. It happens to white people as well, too, right? Police brutality isn't just something that only black people experience it. White people experience it as well, except, again, people only seem to care about police brutality when it happens to black people, and especially when it happens to black people and is being done by white police officers, right? You can argue that the reason why the woke revolutionaries aren't protesting more than they are now is because the police officers are black, and because the police officers are black, they are desperately trying to find a racial angle to sensationalize this story even more than it already is, and to get people protesting, rioting in the streets again. This is why they have been targeting this mysterious white police officer who was allegedly involved in this incident as well.
There was also at the initial encounter with my son, there was a white officer that was tasing my son, and we don't understand how come his name was not put out there or mentioned in this whole fiasco. So yes, I think that there should be quite a few additional charges.
So we just finished our coverage on YouTube about Tyre Nichols' case, and here's a tiny snippet of that police body cam footage that I think a lot of us missed.
I can't see shit.
Now, if you're a little bit curious as to why that officer had a white arm, it's because he does. He's one of the officers who actually tased Tyre in his first stop before he fled to get closer to his parents' house. And now you're probably wondering, where is this white officer's mugshot or indictment? The short answer is we don't know. We don't even know who this officer is and why he has not been thoroughly charged with the death of Tyre Nichols. And I'm really interested as to why his name was not mentioned in the thorough indictment. And I feel like they played the city of Memphis because they got y'all out here singing Negro spirituals and protesting peacefully, and they're actually protecting a white officer.
5 police officers, they were charged, they were arrested, they were fired, and I believe that all of them should be fired. All of them should be charged. But I want to say to you on record, where is the white officer holding the taser? How come his picture is not on the news? And how come his name has not been called?
Yeah, so you see, now you heard that. And just like always, guys, when the mob calls for something, the powers that be capitulate like they do every single time. As the white police officer, right? That's what they're saying. The white police officer by the name of Mr. Preston Hemphill has been relieved of duty following the mob coming out and demanding that he be fired and charged just like the black police officers. Now, the police department is claiming that this guy hadn't been working ever since the investigation began, but they didn't really announce that this guy was relieved of duty again until the mob started really demanding that the white guy be fired. So I am going to play some video clips here from CNN so that you guys get a better understanding of the circumstances revolving Mr. Hemphill and his role in the Tyre Nichols situation, and then I'm going to give you guys my opinion on it. Take a look.
CNN correspondent Nick Valencia is with us now. So what are you learning about this 6th officer, Preston Hemphill, and now being relieved of duty?
Yeah, the Memphis Police Department telling me that he is on administrative leave, that he was relieved along with the other officers. So this makes 6 that were relieved as a result of their involvement in the incident that led to Tyre Nichols' death. We know Preston Hemphill, as he's been identified, has been on the Memphis Police Department since 2018. And according to a source with knowledge of Hemphill's involvement, we know that he was part of this so-called Scorpion unit. Also, according to his attorney, Victor and Allison, we are told that Hemphill is the officer whose body camera we see in video 1. Remember those 4 videos that were released on Friday showing the incident that led to Tyre Nichols' death. We want to show you that Officer Hemphill deploys his taser in this video, and we can hear him and see him deploying that taser. We also see him say one of them prongs hit the bastard. And just listen to what he had to say in this video.
They found him. Huh? Martin and all them are over there chasing him. I hope they stomp his ass. I hope they stomp his ass. Smith is calling for other cars because him and Martin are chasing him.
So you could hear that officer, as had been identified as Officer Preston Hemphill by his attorney. You hear him there deploy his taser, use some pretty strong language about Tyre Nichols. And we are looking to hear and see if there's any charges that are going to be filed against Officer Hemphill. I reached out a short time ago to the district attorney's office and asked them directly, are you expecting charges, or should we expect charges against Officer Hemphill? They did not answer directly, only to say that they are looking at everyone who's on the scene, all the officers and all the first responders. But clearly this fallout still continuing from what happened.
Yeah, so let me be the first one to say that this is just another example of mob justice, because Preston Hemphill did not participate in the beating of Tyre Nichols. Okay, he didn't participate in the beating. He wasn't there. He didn't go to the second location. So what exactly are you suspending him for, right? What exactly are you punishing him for? Because he tased a guy that was running away. He ran away, and the officer tased him for running away. Is that not what you're supposed to do, right? He didn't shoot him in the back. He tased him, which is what you're supposed to do. So what are you suspending him for? Is it for mean language, mean words? Is that what it's for? I mean, I'm trying to figure it out. I'm sure mean words and language is not illegal, okay? And you don't get suspended for it, because I'm pretty sure a lot of these situations on body cam, these cops are using all types of language, okay? That is, you know, inappropriate, but that's the language that people use in the real world, okay? The type of language that you use when you're dealing with criminals on the street. Well, I'll tell you what they're suspending him for. They're suspending him because the mob said that he's white. We desperately want a racial angle. We want to make this racial. We've already said it's white supremacy. We sound stupid. We look stupid. So you need to suspend this guy. You need to get some random white dude that was there, right? And you need to throw him to the fire, right? Throw him to the wolves, so that we don't look as stupid when we're out here talking about how this is white supremacy and blaming the white man, right? You see how this story is shaping up? They're saying, well, this white guy was a part of the Scorpion unit as well, too. And he was a part of, you know, the police officers that pulled him over, right? For, you know, the traffic violation or reckless driving. I believe that's what they pulled him over for, reckless driving, right? So you know how this story is going to develop now. They're going to say that the white guy, he is the one that decided to pull Tyre Nichols over in the first place. He started all this. That's exactly what's about to happen with this story, guys. You see how this story is now evolving into what the mob and the media wants it to be, because 5 black officers beating a black man ain't good enough, right? The race angle ain't convincing enough, okay? It's not convincing enough, so you know what? We're going to get this one random white guy, and we're going to throw him in there, okay? Even though I don't see anything that he necessarily did that was wrong. I don't see where he was participating in the beating, okay? He didn't kill the guy. Like, I'm just saying. Now, if he had participated in the beating, then yeah, he should be fired and charged just like the rest of the officers. But he didn't participate in the beating. He just used the taser. I mean, again, this just 100% seems like a woke sacrifice. That's what it is. And again, the problem here, guys, is that who's going to suffer in the long term? You have Memphis, which is a city that is one of the deadliest cities in the country, a majority black population, whose police department is now being gutted. They're being gutted, okay? They've decided to completely disband the Scorpion unit, despite the fact that this unit has been very successful and was praised in the past by leadership in that department.
So, Nick, will investigators be looking into past arrests and past complaints that may involve this Scorpion unit?
Oh, absolutely. They're doing that already and have been doing that. And we heard over the weekend that this unit has been permanently disbanded. And Scorpion Unit, I mean, what a moniker to give an elite police unit. It stands for Street Crime Operations to Restore Peace in Our Neighborhoods. And they were launched in late 2021. And they were heralded by city leadership. In fact, in January of 2022, the mayor of Memphis, Jim Strickland, praising this unit, saying that it led to 566 arrests. 390 of them were felonies. He also said just in a matter of a couple of months of being, on board, or active rather, that they had seized about $100,000 in cash. But we were hearing today, even though the police chief on Friday told us that she has no other evidence that members of this unit had engaged in similar activity, we were told today, I was told by Benjamin Crump, the family attorney, that tomorrow he plans on hosting a press conference with a 66-year-old man who claims that he was assaulted by members of the Scorpion unit. So clearly this just the beginning in the fallout and the investigation to what's going on there in Memphis.
Yeah, so I want y'all to understand here. This is a classic overreaction that happens every single time one of these stories becomes sensationalized, where you have something that is successful, right? It seems to be successful. And one of the, again, most deadliest cities in the country where, you need police, right? And what they do is, because the wokes don't like the reality of policing and some of the, criminals that police deal with, the police department, because, they get in trouble, they react by, hey, we're just going to get rid of the whole thing, right? Instead of just firing the bad individuals, okay, and, focusing on retraining, and just making sure that this doesn't happen again, okay, that you stop hiring bad people, okay? Now we're just going to get rid of the whole unit because the mob says we have to. And again, it's stuff like this that you got to think about in regards to, okay, it's sad that Tyre Nichols lost his life. It sucks. I hate it for him. My thoughts and prayers are with his family. But let's not lose more lives, right? Because one person's life was lost. And we don't even have a concrete explanation of why this happened, the motivations. And I've seen some rumors flying around on the internet. I'm not going to get into it because there's no concrete evidence that it's true. But again, this could have been more personal, right? This might not be a problem with police or systemic racism or whatever. It could just have been a personal thing. Who knows? Okay, who knows? I'm just saying. We should wait for all the facts and evidence to come out before taking all this drastic action. Because I think there's more lives that are going to be lost if you gut a police department. You say we need to defund the police department. You do exactly what the wokes want you to do. You fire everybody. Okay, you already are struggling to recruit. You're already struggling to get people on the force. The reason why you're in this situation in the first place is because you were forced to hire people who probably shouldn't have been on the force in the first place. Yeah, you're going to make that problem even worse by capitulating to everything that they say. And the people that are going to suffer the most are the law-abiding citizens in Memphis, right, who are suffering due to the crime and, violence going on there, right? And again, that's what really frustrates me about these types of, situations is that the overreaction, it really just hurts law-abiding citizens in the long run. Okay, it's the same thing that happened with George Floyd. After George Floyd, what all these cities try to do? These woke cities, they all want to try to defund the police. Now, did all of them defund the police? No, but what they did was they demonized the police, right? They made it harder for police to get funds. They didn't make it an easy thing to be a police officer, right? They tried to handicap the police, and guess what it resulted in? It resulted in police departments being gutted and crime rising. Criminals taking over these cities. That's exactly what happened in a lot of these liberal cities across the country. Like in LA, San Francisco, Chicago. Again, all these cities are having trouble recruiting police. And what the wokes want to do, just because one bad incident happens, they want to just, hey, we need to just get rid of everything, fire everybody, right? But again, it's funny because we're not hearing many calls to fire the black woman that's running the department, right? I'm not hearing too many calls to fire her, right? If you're going to fire the white guy who was simply there at the scene, who, tased the guy who was trying to run away. If you're going to fire him because the mob said he needs to be fired because he was involved, he was just there. Well, you need to fire the woman that signed off on the Scorpion unit being created in the first place, right? That she said, hey, this is okay. We're totally fine with this. Fire her too, right? Just fire her too. If you go do all this mob justice, just get rid of everybody because that's what y'all want to do anyways, right? Again, to me, it's like anytime the mob demands something, they get it, right? And I truly don't understand why we continue to capitulate to these people when clearly capitulation to them is probably the reason why this happened in the first place. Probably the reason why Memphis felt the need to hire sketchy individuals to be a part of the police department in the first place. So, I don't think there's going to be any good outcomes to this. I really don't. There are not going to be any good outcomes. And you already see the direction that this is going in, okay? It's basically going to be a witch hunt there. They're going to try to find as many whites, right, as they can to blame, to say, see, we told you. This was white supremacy, okay? It couldn't have just been 5 black people. It couldn't have just been 5 bad guys who did this. Nope. White folks were involved too. We told you it was white supremacy. Amazing. Incredible. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.